Cosplay is a hobby that sort of revolves around making costumes and props and recreating a character. So it's costuming, but it's character specific rather than genre specific. It often draws inspiration from fictional sources, movies, video games, cartoons, and that ilk.
I would describe it as, for me anyway, it's an extension of playing dress-ups when I was a kid. Because that was always like the thing I most enjoyed doing, even in kindy, was just playing in the dress-up box. It's just now I have more control over what I wear rather than just like old sundresses and tutus.
I think a lot of people get the impression that Japan is where it originated from, since it's a very big thing over there to see over at the conventions. A lot of that would happen years before in the States with conventions like the Star Trek conventions.
It was a Japanese guest at a convention. He made the word cosplay as an amalgamation of the words costume and play to describe fancy sword dressing up and coming along to the convention. I think that was sometime in the 80s.
So it's not really fair to say one country started it.
The roleplay aspect, there's a lot of emphasis on it in Japan, but in New Zealand it's very much kind of glossed over in favour of the make your own costume enthusiasm, which is kind of nice to see. Good old Kiwi DIY spirit.
Every cosplayer is an individual case. Some people do it for attention, some people do it because they love to make things, some people do it purely for fandom, and most people are a mix of various things. I mean, there's so many motivations.
Yeah, you've got the young and the old. I mean, I've seen people older than me and much, much younger than me doing it, so there is a variety, and a variety in what they like and what they enjoy to do. And there's also the variety in levels. So you've got people who have just started out. They might have just put something together the night before just to try it out, or had help from others, to those that are really advanced where people actually step aside as they walk past because they don't want to damage this beautiful, elaborate, huge costume that they've made.
I do a lot of 40k cosplays. So I take a model that's about this big. This little one is a Terminator and a dude. So it's a bad example. A lot of my work involves sort of scaling stuff up and playing with proportion, I'd say.
It's a lot of resource gathering as well. A lot of people think it's just fabric. It's not.
What I do first is I pick one, which is a good start. Then I find as many images as I can of the costume or of the character's world and other characters in it. I love to research very thoroughly, and I also look at if a character has a particular historical influence, like the Commissar one I did. A lot of that uniform is influenced by the Hussar uniforms, and so I went to the library and got out all the coffee table books on military uniforms and looked up all the Hussars and got more information on sort of the details and pockets and things like that, because if you're working with something that big, you have to spend a lot of time squinting, and you have to often bridge little gaps.
The one I'm doing at the moment is a musketeer from Granada Espada. I got a copy of the art book, or some of the scans from the art book, and the design's just beautiful, and you can look at them and just imagine, oh, that would look amazing in silk, oh, I could embroider that, it would look beautiful, and the excitement kind of snowballs from there.
The Armageddon Expo is, I'd say, a pop culture expo, as they always say. I tend to use it, I don't care about guests, not a bit. I'm really only interested in seeing friends and other cosplayers.
I love going to conventions and catching up with people that I haven't seen in a while, doing some photo shoots.
So it's mostly a social event for me, but it's essentially New Zealand's biggest, I wouldn't say only convention, but the main one. When I moved here, one of my best friends, she's Gemma, because she was actually working on her cosplay in the sewing shop she works at. And I was like, you're going to get in. And she sold me 2 needles.
Some of my current flatmates I've actually met through cosplay, so know them enough to actually want to live with them. So it has changed my life a little bit. Yeah, it's made me new friends and really lovely people too. I think some people get a very odd impression from cosplayers and that they're all very weird people, where in fact hanging out with a lot of them outside of conventions, they do completely normal jobs. They'll will hang out, go to the movies, do exactly what everyone else does, and it's just this extra thing that we do on the side.
Costumes are just such a great icebreaker, particularly if you're shy, which I was very shy. It's sort of, you instantly can see you've got something in common, or you've got something to talk about. It's a fantastic icebreaker, and that's why I think costume parties have always been popular.
A couple of years ago, I had a house full of cosplayers, and we were all trying to finish our contest pieces for the next day. Incredibly stressful. We had some minor tears, some minor drama. Having like a whole room full of people frantically working and like just being idiots and just having fun and trying to get stuff done. It's fun.
One of the funniest fun moments I had was in one of the Wellington Armageddons, and I was dressed in my commissar uniform with my black peaked hat, black leather boots, huge epaulets. I looked as scary as hell. Well, sort of scary. Anyway, I'm sitting there at the pub next door with my friends eating an ice cream sundae, as you do. And this little girl comes up to me with her mum, and her mum asks me shyly, "Oh, she'd like to get her photo taken with you." And I was like, "What?" Because I was like, there was all these pretty cosplays. And then she went up next to me and went like this. And I just thought that was adorbs. Because I wasn't expecting a kid to be like, ah.
Go for it. There's nothing holding you back. It's a totally nerdy hobby, but it's just so much fun. There's so much you can do with it. You can paint, you can sculpt, you can learn to work fiberglass, which is something I'm going to do later on this year, which is going to be interesting. You can make armour, you can do whatever you like. There's no limits on it at all.
I have no ambition to make it my job or anything. I just absolutely love making costumes. It's like pleasure for me.
Commission it, buy it, put it together. All good.
So it's still quite new to us compared to other cultures and other corners of the world, but it's growing.